CNN Breaking News.
Getting some breaking news from our Jim Acosta over at the White House. Jim Acosta reporting from his sources that back on November 10th, an important date, that is when President Obama sat down with then President-elect Trump for their very important private meeting. In that meeting, Jim Acosta is learning from his sources, President Obama warned President Trump against hiring Michael Flynn as his national security advisor, warned him personally and directly during that meeting in the Oval Office on November 10th. Errol Lewis is still here with me. Jeffrey Toobin, CNN senior legal analyst, is here with me as well. What does that mean to you? How significant is that?
Well, you know, you can always tell what's going on with Donald Trump because he tweets exactly what he's thinking, and he's very uncomfortable that Congress is looking into this whole Michael Flynn thing. He essentially threatened Sally Yates, which is something presidents are not generally supposed to do, essentially threatened her by saying that she, implying that she released classified information.
Here's the tweet, just again for our viewers. Just this morning, he wrote, "Ask Sally Yates under oath if she knows how classified information got into the newspapers soon after she explained it to White House counsel." But now we learn it wasn't just Sally Yates that warned the White House. It's President Obama who warned the White House, warned President Trump.
Apparently. And it just also, you notice that another thing that President Trump has been saying is that, well, it was the Obama administration that gave him a security clearance. It was President Obama who fired Michael Flynn from the Defense Intelligence Agency. So, this attempt to put Michael Flynn on the Obama administration suggests that Trump is really feeling very uncomfortable about Flynn, the subject of Flynn being raised. And again, it all goes back to this issue of whether Flynn and other people involved in the Trump campaign were working with Russia to defeat Hillary Clinton. I mean, that question is what hangs over all these hearings. We don't know the answer to it, but there's more and more evidence that justifies further investigation.
And with Flynn, were sanctions or relief of sanctions discussed or, kind of implied during conversations with Russian officials? Errol, as this was coming through, you were recalling that was that very important meeting everyone was waiting for between the two presidents.
Sure, that's right. The shock of the election outcome had really not even settled in, right? Remember, the election was on November 8th. 2 days later, in the Oval Office, shaking hands with President Obama, with all kinds of different sort of bad blood between not just the two parties, but the two men still up in the air. The whole birther campaign was still, sort of unresolved, never really discussed. There was that great sort of iconic shot of a lot of the Obama transition team folks standing there with their arms folded, standing in the driveway of the West Wing, watching as the Trump entourage came into the West Wing. And so if during that conversation, the president, then President Obama, said explicitly, do not hire this man. This is a problem. I fired him for a reason. This is going to cause you grief. It would be very interesting then to see why the incoming president decided not only to sort of have him involved, but to really sort of elevate him and defend him, even beyond the point when we now know he had meetings with the Russian ambassador.
And remember, Trump did not just appoint Michael Flynn to some job. He made him the National Security Advisor, which is the single most important national security job in the White House and perhaps in the United States government, with access to every bit of classified information in the entire federal government.
It's not a position that requires confirmation from Congress. That's also why it's an important position to point out.
Also, and someone who really is in the president's ear every single day. So the idea that President Obama felt so strongly about Michael Flynn that he personally warned the president-elect about it, suggests that there's something there that really should not have made him, not have allowed him to get as far as he did.
Yeah, I mean, giving personnel advice so directly, especially about one specific person, is a pretty amazing thing. Guys, stand by. I want to talk also not just about the breaking news, but how this breaking news could possibly impact the hearing today that everyone's waiting for, with so much expectation surrounding the hearing of Sally Yates, the former acting attorney general who warned the White House about Michael Flynn and that he was misleading the White House. Well, now we have not just Sally Yates, but according to Jim Acosta's great reporting and sources, President Obama also warned the president about Michael Flynn. We'll be right back after this.